Ocean Pines is a vibrant residential community nestled on Maryland's eastern shore. With over 9 miles of waterfront property, amenities like an 18-hole championship golf course and a public yacht club, and a rich history dating back to 1968. Of course, if you live here, you probably know most of that. And if you don't, it's almost all apparent from your first visit. Each week on the Pines Cast, we work to bring out the ocean pines that might be less apparent. We celebrate the region, the amenities, and, most of all, the people who make and keep Ocean Pines a special place to live. Welcome to the Pines Cast, your source of news and insights about ocean pines and the official podcast of the Ocean Pines Association. I am your host, Tony Russo, and this week on the Pines Cast, we are speaking with Matt Ruggiere. He's a regular guest, and you know him now as the director of golf, coming off his first winter and halfway through his first summer. He's doing great. We talk about several of the programs that they've already run and some really cool stuff that they have coming up, and generally about how they hope to continue to improve the golf course over at Ocean Pines. One of the things that came out in the episode and is always worth mentioning is that if you are an Ocean Pines resident, you are technically a member of the golf course. There are special prices, discounts, and opportunities that resident owners have. Whether they're full-time residents, part-time residents. Again, if you own a place in Ocean Pines, you have some privileges at the golf course, and we'll talk about that in this show, among 1,000 other things. Great show. He's a really charming guy, and as a matter of fact, let's just turn it right over to him now. Here's Matt. So it has been a couple months. I think we spoke either early in the spring or late in the winter of 2025 and early 2026. But you've got plenty going on, and I wanted to talk about it. So how have you been, I guess, so far this year? How's the year going, I guess?
I've been good. Getting used to the new position as director. The season's been off. First half of summer has been busy. We got through the spring package play, which is one of our busier times of the year. And yeah, we're rock and rolling at the golf course.
And so what was your transition like into I'm sorry, I'm going to get it wrong. Is it director of golf?
Yes. Yeah. Director of golf. I was running the teaching academy full time before that. So teaching and coaching around the clock. The transition was, it's been a few years since I've been in an operational role. So just kind of getting used to some of the responsibilities again. Lucky for me, we have an awesome team in the pro shop that, was there to help, kind of fill some gaps. And my assistant pro, John O'Connor, and second assistant, Frank, they're a huge help. And that's an understatement. So yeah, the awesome team we have and staff we have in the pro shop and outside as well, they definitely made that transition a little smoother for me.
And how's the course been holding up over the winter? Everything in my yard is dead. That we had those 2 brutal weeks of heat, and it was just relentless.
Yeah, so 4th of July, it got pretty toasty. Our superintendent, Justin, his team, again, they're incredible. They prepped for the heat. We had a lot of humidity with that heat, which Justin was actually giving me a rundown. The humidity can help the greens. It makes them soft, very receptive to golf balls coming in. All that moisture, it's good for it overall, or at least they're not getting the stress they would if we had that kind of heat without the humidity. So, 4th of July, that stretch, it was pretty toasty, but, we had some humidity. So the course, it looks awesome. It's faring really well. The rain we've had recently, a couple thunderstorms. I mean, we got 3 or 4 inches of rain in 24 hours last week, and we were off the cart path, about 48 hours later, if that.
Wow.
The course took the rain really well. We honestly needed it to some extent, but yeah, greens look awesome. They're rolling fast. The rough is really healthy right now. Fairways look awesome, especially on the front nine where we've had that new irrigation system. The back nine, there's a few areas that look a little stressed, but that's normal for any course this time of year. I was just playing a tournament last week. It's a private course, very high-end course, and they had a few brown areas out there. So, that's going to come with the summer heat, but it's overall, we're very pleased with how it looks.
Speaking of tournaments, so this was kind of your first big summer of running things and keeping things. So how's the membership been going, and how's everybody been reacting to some of the events that you've done already, and what were they?
Yeah, the events have been a big success. We're getting a lot of good feedback from them. We're getting a lot of member turnout, which is awesome. We're getting some of the residents out, which is great. We've got a few people coming from Baltimore like routinely for some of these tournaments, which is cool. Some of them have summer houses. Some happen to be in the area when we hosted some of our earlier events, and they've basically joined the mailing list and we're part of most events we're running now. So going back to the spring, the first one we ran was the Shamrock Scramble, spinning off St. Patrick's Day. That was a blast. Then we had our couples championship, which we had a pretty full field for that. They had a nice buffet afterwards in the clubhouse bar and grill. And last week we had the Claret Jug Classic, which was a fun one. So that was a Sunday 18-hole event. It was 2-player teams. And then we had a wheel at check-in. You spun the wheel and it assigned you a PGA Tour player that was playing in the Open Championship. And basically each player would spin those. So if you and I were on a team and then we spun, Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler, we were adding their score to ours to make a score team of 4. And that's how we did the event. So it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of movement on the leaderboard while watching the British Open and the watch party that we hosted after that.
That's absolutely crazy. I've never heard of that before, but I can imagine. So it's both like fantasy golf and actual golf at the same time.
Exactly. It was pretty cool. So ironically, the team that finished in first for performance, as a couple members, Darren and James, they finished first place for their performance at Ocean Pines, but then their spin of the wheel knocked them down to 4th place. And then the team that finished in 13th place had 2 really good spins, and they got knocked all the way up to first place.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement. It was a different event. We haven't run something like that before, and yeah, feedback was awesome. The overall was a big success. We had a fun time running it. John O'Connor and I were doing the scoring, and we had a lot of people looking over our shoulders because it was exciting to see who was jumping up, who was moving down. It made for a fun watch party after the round.
Where did you see that? Where do you get ideas like that? Because that's just phenomenal, I think.
So it's funny you say that. My wife actually asked me the same thing, and I started planning some of these events as if I was a member of the course myself, and what would I want to play in? What would be fun for me on the Sunday of the British Open? And that's kind of what I came up with. For the Open Championship, I'd want to play golf beforehand, and I'd want to stick around and have a few beverages and watch the tournament after. So I had that thought, and we just, I got up with John O'Connor and Frank Solis, and we made the format and launched it. So it's definitely one we'll be running back next year. That was just the first annual this year.
That sounds like a stroke of genius. And will you do them for any of the other tournaments or just British Open? Or?
So we have this league we're going to announce here shortly. I've sent it out to a few players already. It's going out to the membership really this afternoon. It's going to spin off a similar way of, you can add or deduct strokes from your score based off some NFL statistics. So week 1, it's total offensive yards. So say, I don't know, you pick the Ravens and they have over 450 yards of offense. You'd be taking 4 shots off of whatever score you have that morning. If they're in between 400 and 450 yards, it's -3. As the parameter, as they make less yards, it's closer to basically no adjustment on your score. And then if whatever team you picked has under 275 yards of offense, we're adding 3 strokes to your score. So the format or the stats that you'd pick each week are changing. Week 2 is passing touchdowns. Week 3 is team rushing yards. We have QB passing yards for week 4, total touchdowns week 5, and then points scored week 6. So basically a 6-hole league with playing golf Sunday morning around 8 o'clock, and then having the NFL games to hopefully improve your score, but possibly make it worse as well.
This interaction seems like a new level for how to get members engaged. Do you think this is kind of a future-looking thing where people who play golf, but people are more engaged with the club, have a better affinity for this particular course and this particular community?
Absolutely. No, that's definitely the goal with it is, let's not just fill up the golf course. Let's get people hanging out and enjoying the space in the clubhouse as well afterwards. I mean, the food and drinks there are amazing. The setup they have, especially for NFL Sundays, it's incredible. They have more TVs than any bar I can think of. So it's a great atmosphere after a round, and we're really trying to get that out with some of these formats. Just make it more community feel.
You have a couple of events coming up that we did want to talk about. So let's start there because you have a luau. That's like imminent.
Yes, that is Sunday, August 23rd. Sorry, I jumped ahead. I got excited about that NFL league.
Yeah, we'll go back to it because I have more questions, but that's why I didn't want to lose track of the luau before we jump back into the football.
Yeah. Next one on our radar is the Luau Golf Tournament. That's Sunday, August 23rd. We have registration open really up until probably that Wednesday or Thursday before the events when we'll have to close it down to build out the event. But it's a 9-hole scramble format. You're signing up as a team of 2, and then we're doing a blind draw at the end to pair you with another team of 2. So there'll be a team of 4 that's scored, but you don't know what other twosome in the field you're paired with.
And then the luau part is the luau part. You'll have the party at the end. Is that the...
Yeah, that'll be fun. So it's a fresh summer luau buffet following play. They're getting prizes. Well, I guess there's a chance to win some door prizes. We actually have some pretty sweet gifts we're giving out for that. So everyone will get like a ticket when they check in. Hopefully their number gets drawn because we do have some pretty sweet giveaways we're doing for that. So with the registration fee, it's $45 for golf members. It's $70 for non-members. That includes the luau, the golf, and everything. But we have the option to do the luau afterwards. If anyone was interested in coming out for, the party essentially after golf, it's $27 for the buffet, the luau buffet. And again, I can't emphasize how good the food is over at the clubhouse. So it's going to be a pretty fun afternoon, Sunday afternoon. We're hoping to see a lot of the community out there. And I think we have a good amount of members signed up already, quite a few residents, and hopefully we get a few more adding on to it so we get a full field.
And there's something you mentioned way back that I want to kind of hit on and ask a question at the same time. You were talking about having a newsletter and that people respond to that even if they're people from out of town. How effective is that at getting people? Like, is that your main way of reaching potential?
It's our morning email. It's not quite a newsletter. I have that on kind of my to-do list to make a little more formal newsletter where it's, maybe sending out once a week or bi-weekly with a full list of our events. But we send a morning email to essentially cover course conditions. Today we're 90 degrees with the carts, which means you can take the cart off the path. There are some players who, if it's cart path only due to injury or any other reason, they can't play golf, so they need to cancel. So we send the morning email with course updates as far as conditions go. If the driving range is open, if it's open on time, sometimes we have scheduled maintenance and we need to delay the opening of that. Basically just kind of give everyone an idea of what's going on for the day. And at the bottom of that email is where we list most of the events we have coming up, really all the events that we have coming up. To anyone, if you're not getting our emails right now, call the Pro Shop. It's 410-641-6057. We'll add you to that list. And then, long term, I think getting into next season, I would like to have a little more formal, newsletter. I have one for the Teaching Academy, and that goes out every Tuesday. We do a Golf Tip Tuesday.
How are people just dropping by? How are people finding out about these different events that you have, especially now that you're kind of upgrading them to make them, more engaging?
Honestly, Sarah's sitting next to me. I got to give a shout out to Sarah and Nancy. They do most of the heavy lifting from the marketing and getting the word out there. So a lot of public announcements. We've put it on some of the boards throughout Ocean Pines before. The Facebook posts go a long way. That morning email helps. I go on the radio every couple of weeks on Secrets Radio, and we'll talk about those. And then a lot of it's word of mouth too. Someone signs up and they, twosome signs up and they get 2 more players to join them.
You have another tournament that you were talking about where members can bring guests as part of the tournament. And that seems like a way to get more people, even if they don't sign up for membership, to get more people engaged with the course and maybe be day players or just participate in, events when they're appealing.
Yeah, no, there is definitely different events that kind of fit every different level of play. Or like the Luau one, it's open really to all level. I'd say every tournament we have is open to all players. We do we flight them, and we have handicaps that get involved, so that keeps a level playing field from a more experienced to maybe less experienced golfer. But we do have our member guests. That was the one that you just referenced coming up in October. So we're really excited for this one. The men's and ladies leagues have hosted their own member guests in the past, and they've been a blast to be a part of. So we're excited to host one with the Pro Shop and with the course. It starts on Friday, October 23rd. That's going to be a par 3 contest. We'll have a nice dinner afterwards at the yacht club. And then Saturday is the actual tournament itself. and it's 2-player teams. So say if I'm the member there, I'm inviting a guest out. Members is reached out to residents as well. So any Ocean Pines resident is a golf course member. They're a resident member, so they're able to bring a guest, and it's exciting to see where the guests come from. Sometimes we have a member who's bringing their son in from maybe Pennsylvania or New York. I've been at courses where we hear players coming from the other side of the country. So it's pretty cool who ends up at our facility as the guest, and we're happy to have them.
And now, is it my imagination, because it could very well be, I don't really cover a lot of golf besides you. Is it common to have these meals and parties after the tournament? Is that usually a part of it? I always thought it was like, all right, you finish the tournament, you go and you have a beer and they say who won, and then everybody goes home.
Yeah, I'd say it's common to have the awards and the food after play. It changes a little bit depending on the event. So that Claret Jug tournament last week, it was, we wrapped up around 11 a.m., 12 o'clock. So we had more of like a brunch style buffet. This member guest is really our premier event. We're hoping to make it our signature event long term, and this is the first year we're running it. So both meals are going to be pretty high end. I know Friday night at the yacht club we have a carving station. Saturday night at the golf course we have a pretty fancy Italian dinner planned. So a couple courses, desserts from Touch Italy. Both meals coming from Touch Italy, of course. But as despite how good the menu sounds, it's the cannolis and the desserts that always get my attention.
Yeah. You touched on the academy. Can you tell me how that's gone this summer? Do you have a lot of like out of town students, for example, or participants?
We get on Saturdays, we do a drop-in clinic. It's at 11:30 on Saturdays, and that's where we get a lot of people from out of town, which is pretty special. For our couples championship, actually, I had a few members that played, or a few couples that played, that I met them through the academy. They taken lessons together, whether it's private group lessons or private couples lessons, or they're in the clinic. So I made sure when we announced that couples championship, I reached out to them and invited them, and it was awesome. They came back and showed some support. We do have a lot going on with the academy, though. We have Coach Mark, who's our director of instruction. He's here from Florida. He's honestly, he's a guru as far as the golf swing goes. He really knows his stuff. And then we have Coach Cam, who's our head of player development. He's going through the PGA program. He's an incredible coach as well. He's working a lot with the juniors. He's one of our junior league coaches. And yeah, we're staying pretty busy with the academy as well, which is a good, kind of process to get new players involved, get them comfortable at the course, and then hopefully get them into the men's ladies league and some of these events that we're talking about.
And what do you have set for the fall as far as the academy? Do you do like a quarterly or semesterly change?
No, we might change what some of the topics are with, get into the fall as maybe the wind picks up. We might talk about more of like playing in the wind, or, playing more firmer conditions like we get in the fall, but nothing too much. If there's a change in like strategy, it's more, it's usually along those lines. But we keep the same programs kind of rolling. We'll do a golf 101, golf 201. We'll keep that Saturday program going. We're hoping to keep the junior league going. We'll have to adjust the schedule a little bit as school starts, but we're definitely hoping to keep every program running throughout the spring and summer into the fall.
Speaking of into the fall, so we mentioned this NFL program that you had, and how are you promoting it, and what are you hoping to get out of it?
We started promoting it. I really just sent it to the Twilight League guests that we've had, and then it's going out to the members with our Maintenance Monday email. So they'll have the info for it. We post everything around the clubhouse as well, and then this is kind of the next event I have on queue to get over to Sarah and Nancy to help get the word out as well. So, as far as the idea goes, it really came from, I just like playing golf on Sundays before football starts. Last year, my buddy and I would play. We've got these little clips you could get for the golf carts. We'd have our iPads on the side of the golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
We were, literally out playing golf while we had Red Zone on one iPad and like the Ravens game on the other. So pretty fun, Sunday fun day. You can't beat it. I figured what more than golf and football to make a Sunday fun day.
And now, is this something that you have to sign up for the whole season, or can you do it like day by day, Sunday by Sunday?
Yeah, we're doing it in a 6-week stretch. So yeah, you would sign up for the whole season. It's not uncommon of a few players to, if they have to miss a week or two. And what's cool about the league is we'll have an overall league winner, but there's also weekly payouts as well, where they can earn pro shop credit. They can, win a closest to pin on the contest or on the course. So, if you're signing up, and even if you can only make a few of the weeks, there's still some value there. Because the league you pay for, it's a $60 league registration, and that basically breaks down to like $10 a week. That's into the prizes that are paid in pro shop credit. But as far as the golf goes, you would pay, as you check in. So, if we're getting, let me see what the resident rate was. The rate comes to $69. That's for the greens and the cart, and then the range balls are included with that. So if you're missing out on a certain week, you might miss on, that $10 in the prize money and whatnot, but you're not paying your greens and cart fee up front. So that
that's cool.
Yeah,
I see. So there's like a registration for the league, but play is as normal.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And as the summer goes on, I guess, what are you looking forward to over the next like 2 or 3 weeks? Like, do you have anything else coming up in August?
No, the Luau is our next big event. We just had back-to-back weeks with the Claret Jug, and then we did a Christmas in July putting contest. And
tell me about that. How did that go?
That went awesome. So it was a lot of fun. I think we had 25, 30 people. I was hoping for a few more. And then, I think because we were kind of right on the back of that Claret Jug event, I know Ocean City does a big Christmas in July festivities and whatnot. So I think there's a lot going on in town, and we just had a lot going on in the clubhouse. But for our first time doing it, and being that we launched it on kind of short notice, I was really happy with the turnout. And we ended up going into a playoff. Don McMullen, who's been a member there forever, he made like a 25-foot putt in the playoff hole to take everyone was celebrating. It was pretty exciting. It was a fun event. And then we had with the registration came a burger and a beer. So we had a little party in the clubhouse afterwards. We did best dressed for Santa costume. They won Touch Italy gift cards, and yeah, it was a fun event.
Well, I mean, I think anybody who showed up dressed as Santa in the middle of July deserves at least a little something. If
they did, the couple that won it, Darren and Terry, they had a full Santa pajama outfit on that they went through the whole putting contest in. They definitely earned the best dressed award. That couldn't have been too comfy putting in that and wearing that for an hour or so in the heat.
As you're going through your newish responsibilities, what are some of the things that you feel like you really are connecting with, and what are some of the other ways that you're hoping to improve the way things are done, or make any upcoming changes that about that you want to share?
So I mean, getting the course playing is just a touch easier. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but Ocean Pines is a very challenging layout, which is awesome. Golf it's not meant to be an easy sport. It's kind of meant to test you, physically, mentally. So Ocean Pines does a great job of that. But, I've talked to Justin, there's a few things we're trying to do to make the course a little more playable. We're talking about bringing the rough down a touch. They're coming out of this rough restoration phase, and it's very healthy now. And it's to a point where we can make it a little more playable. As far as growth opportunities, I think we're just trying to keep the communication going. I think that was a big part of taking over. I was with the academy. It was a much smaller scale operation, and my communication could almost just be through the newsletter or, word of mouth, and it worked. The golf course is a much bigger operation, so the communication becomes that much more important amongst our team and the membership and public play as well. But we just sent a survey out a week or two ago, so we're kind of monitoring the feedback we get from that. If you didn't see the survey, it's on the Facebook page. There's a link there. And yeah, the survey would be a great way for anyone to share some feedback. So we're always looking for ways to improve and ways to grow.
Do you have any early suggestions that you can share with me that you were like surprised together? You're like, oh, this is something that we could take a look at, or?
Nothing that surprised me. We kind of knew where we're standing. I play golf often out there. I try to put myself in the public's shoes and, see what they're experiencing on day to day. So it's rare I'm going out there and playing a full round, but I do try to sneak out and get a few holes in just to, whether see how the pace of play is or how course conditions are. So yeah, I always try to kind of put myself in the golfer's shoes and see what they're experiencing. And as a very passionate golfer myself, it's easy for me to see what I'd like to improve and where I think we're thriving. So I wouldn't say there's anything jumping off the survey that came as a surprise necessarily.
As far as the clubhouse, I know that it's not new, but that it's been a year, I guess, since the food has come in, and you guys have made like this real effort with the clubhouse. And how's that been going? Are people staying to hang around like as you guys had hoped?
Yeah, the events have definitely been a big part of that. I know Christmas in July, I needed to take off to get back to Dane, our baby. But I heard it was quite the party afterwards when I took off. I'm bummed I missed the fun afterwards. So yeah, with the events there, people are definitely sticking around. We're starting to see more of the members, hang out and, celebrate their round and have a drink after golf. They just changed up their menu a few weeks ago. They went to their summer menu, and that's been a great change. A couple new options on there. So yeah, it's been going well. I work very closely with Tiffany, the manager over there, the general manager over there, to plan some of these events. And some of our bigger events, like the member guests, where we're utilizing the banquet service. I work closely with Carrie as well. So I can't say enough good things about their team, and their communication has been a big part of our success.
And so, what do you hope for the winter and beyond? What's 2027 going to look like at the golf course? And I'm gonna, I'll have you back in the fall and double check.
I thought you were shooing me out there. I thought this was
No, not at all.
Here. So the 27, we're going to run very similar event schedule. We'll be able to announce them much earlier in the season now that we've gotten through a year with them and kind of know what to expect. So we're going to run some similar events. We're hoping for even better registration turnouts, as people can really mark their calendar months in advance, not 3 weeks in advance like I did for the Christmas in July event.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of the ones we've gotten good feedback from most of them. So we'll run those back. As far as the winter, it's hard to say. We just never know what to expect with the weather here. If we have kind of a mild winter, I'd hope that we're still getting a lot of golf out there. I know on the maintenance side of things, we're doing something different with the aeration process in the spring and fall. We're talking about a full shutdown for a few days. That hasn't been finalized yet, but I think that's what's going to be best for the course and conditions long term. So yeah, nothing really set in stone for the winter time. I would like to brainstorm some kind of winter golf league. We do have a golf simulator. We just got to figure out, I got to talk to my team and figure out how we can, utilize that space efficiently and safely, most importantly. But us golfers don't like to stop swinging. So whether it's indoors or outdoors, hot or cold, we're out there. So we'll definitely have something going on for the winter time to keep the members and the residents engaged.
You mentioned keeping things very much the same, well, very similar anyway, as far as the new events. But what are some of the ways that you're looking to grow the membership? Like, how are you doing that kind of membership, getting people to, I guess, get other members for you? I don't know if there's a better way to put that.
The word of mouth and the experience itself is kind of what our focus is. I don't think we have any false promises. I mean, we're the only Robert Trent Jones course on the Eastern Shore. The course truly looks better than I've ever seen it, and I don't mean that since I started the academy and moved back home 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I've been playing there for over 20 years now, which is crazy. It's the best I've ever seen it, and I wouldn't even know when I would compare that to. So I think we're getting the product to a point where it almost sells itself. The experience from customer service to good course conditions, and we just got to get people out there to experience that themselves and see it. So the member guests, where we hopefully get some guest play out there, is big. We have members inviting their neighbors out. That's big for us. So yeah, I think the product will start to speak for itself. The membership, hopefully with these events, they're starting to see the value even more in the membership at the golf course. And back to the course conditions. I mean, who doesn't want to play a course that looks as good as it does right now?
And kind of along those lines, what are some of your plans for? Are you trying to increase outside play? Is that something that's an issue for you and like a goal for you, or are you doing well enough with the membership that you don't want to push your luck there?
Yeah, so as a semi-private course, we do need some of the outside play and the public play, and that's what helps keep the a membership at a good value. If we were to be fully private with only members, it would be a pretty steep jump in memberships, and that's not really what anyone's looking for. I think our members are awesome because they've seen the package play that I mentioned earlier, and that's where we have basically big groups from out of town that come in town in the spring and fall. Summertime too. The spring seems to be like the busiest time for it, and I think they understand that a couple Saturdays out of the year, we need to share the course a little more than we might not than we might throughout the summer and shoulder months. But they've kind of gotten used to that, and they know that's part of the expectation. So yeah, we just got to find the right balance between public and resident play and members of the golf course. I think we're starting to find that balance.
Excellent. And that is all I have for you, unless you have something else for me. Is there something I should have asked and didn't, or something you thought you get the opportunity to say, but I didn't provide it?
No, I appreciate having me on. I guess the last thing I'll say for the member guest, I want to circle back to that because I do want to make it our premier event for the year.
Oh yeah, no, please. We've got plenty of time.
There's the par 3 contest Friday night. Saturday is the tournament itself. It's going to be pretty fun how we do it. It's the front 9 for the tournament. It's going to be a net better ball. Back 9's a modified alternate shot. It's open to men and women, and we'll have 3 flights for it: a men's flight, a women's flight, and then a mixed flight. All of the flight winners will go into a shootout, which will start on the 18th hole, and then there'll also be one wild card spot to get into the shootout. So essentially, whichever team had the best score amongst all 3 flights that wasn't the flight winner. So 4 teams will end up going to the shootout. It'll be a combined score of the 2 players. And yeah, it creates a fun, really fun atmosphere as they're coming down 18. The clubhouse is right there, so they'll be able to cheer them on. So yeah, I just want to circle back to that because it's going to be our premier event. We're really excited to run this for the first time.
I love the image of everybody hanging around at the 18th hole watching it sounds tense and exciting even for a local event, huh?
It definitely is. If you're out there, it doesn't take too many spectators to get a little bit of adrenaline going. So yeah, fun atmosphere for sure. And that's open to the residents. Can play as a resident member. That's something I can't stress enough. To the residents, you are members of the golf course, so please come check us out.
So, all right, let's take another 5 minutes or so, 20 minutes, whatever you need to take. Let's talk about this. Has that always been a thing? Because you've mentioned it a couple of times as if it's been a thing that people haven't been promoting, and now you are. So, tell me about the resident membership. Tell everybody in case they don't know, because it sounded newer to me than I guess it is.
Yeah, as a resident of Ocean Pines, we consider you a member of the golf course. You're helping us. You're giving us resources to make the course better, and we want you to come take advantage of the course and enjoy it just like our full golf members are. So Ocean Pines, at one point, it was a while back, but it was fully private. So you had to have a golf membership to play there. It hasn't been that way in a long time, but it's still something we hear often. So we're trying to change. We're trying to really get the word out that we are open to the public, and even a step further, we have our public rates, then we have resident rates, which at certain times of the year, the resident rate it's like just shy of a 50% discount. So there's some great incentives to play. Residents can book 7 days in advance and get those benefits. So yeah, we're not considering, it's a resident member, we like to call it, and we hope to see more and more residents coming out and enjoying the course that's in their backyard. It's, in my opinion, the best on the shore.
And does August end up being a slower month because of the heat, or because you were saying the Twilight league that you were talking about? I guess that'll be a good one to be a part of in August. But during the rest of the month, there's spots if you don't mind the sun.
Yeah, and I'm obviously a little biased to Ocean Pines Golf Course, but as far as shade goes on the course, I don't think you'll find more shade than the layout we have. It's beautiful trees. You can find shade on almost every hole, so that's always nice if you are playing to get a little break from the direct sun. I would say August slows down a touch. Summer stays pretty steady. What we start to see is more kind of clusters of the tee times. Everyone teeing off pretty early to try and beat the heat, and then to your point, a lot like that twilight time will get popular because it starts to cool down a little bit. So middle of the day there might be a little more spacey, but we have a lot of golfers who, they'll just pack a couple extra waters. They'll pack some of those cool towels, those cold towels. That's a good, something to bring out on those hotter days.
Yeah.
But again, I can't stress enough. We're kind of crazy as golfers. There's not too many weather elements that we won't go play in.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I'll talk to you in the fall, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. I appreciate you having me back on.
The Pines Cast is an Ocean Pines Association production. It was written and edited by me, Tony Russo, executive producer Sarah Ash. Please reach out to us with requests, with questions, with comments, with anything. You can reach me at my email address. It is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. That is bytonyrusso@gmail.com. Always happy to hear from you guys. And if you have any suggestions about who should be on, we would love to hear that as well. But that is all we have for this week, and I will check in with you next time.